everyone. Welcome back. We are so sorry that we skipped a week, but sometimes life just happens. But we are back and we have some things we want to go over, and we hope you've been well too. Yeah, how are you, Evans?
I am doing great. Yes, I am glad to be back. And yeah, you're right. A lot of things happened during the week last week. I was very busy, but I was able to do some productive things that actually worked out well for me. I'm really happy about that. So sometimes breaks are good, just as you said, you know?
They are good, especially because we are also growing in our personal lives and in our professional lives, and sometimes those things need to take precedence and
Exactly.
the priority. And so, yeah, we are all about balance as well. So, yeah.
Exactly. We took a break from sinning and we're back at it. All right. So what are we going
I
to
know.
sin talk about today, Ali?
Today, what I would like to focus on is recently. This is kind of a big deal in Mormon land, just kind of like the Pope passing away. We
Hmm.
had the prophet of the Mormon faith recently pass away. His name was President Russell M. Nelson. And my goal today is to kind of share a little bit about him and spill a little bit of tea about him, and then have a bigger conversation
Hmm.
about not just him, but this organization that we keep addressing and talking about
Okay.
in our podcast.
So he recently passed away. He's been around, how old was he?
He was 101 years old.
No. Okay. Whatever health diet that he was on, I want to be on that. There are
I
some things
know.
that Mormons just get right, like living for 1,000 years. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working really, really hard to continue to take my Mormon supplements. I'm still
Oh,
getting
okay.
them kind of in the dark alleys. I have to get them kind of on the black market these days because, I'm technically out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
take the those supplements as well, and
Yes.
it's been working great. Shh. Yeah. So.
Yeah. He was a prophet for so many years, I would imagine.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
began at 93 years of age. And so that's when he
Oh,
became the official prophet. But yeah, for decades and
okay.
decades before that, he was just going up the chain of command. So that's just kind of how it works. When you start in the Mormon organization, you get called and then you slowly move up the ranks. And he made it to the 12 apostles. When he became one of the 12 apostles, at that point, is just a game of survival where the oldest person in those 12 will eventually become the prophet if they can outlive
Mm,
everybody else. And
yeah.
all jokes aside, I can't corroborate this, but the medical staff for these men, especially these top 12 men, I've heard really does take good care of the leadership. And so I'm
I
not
would
that
imagine.
surprised
I would imagine
that.
picking up a new role, such a big role at
Yeah.
93.
Yeah, he was
Like,
93.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
is impressive, okay? Like that, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, but obviously if you have premium healthcare, yeah, that is no surprise there. Kudos to
Exactly.
healthcare, man. Shout out to healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare are these Mormon pills that, are working for me too, apparently. So that's kind of his start. He
Okay.
professionally, before he basically stopped his profession to become a full-time member of the organization running the show,
Mm-hmm.
he was a heart surgeon in Utah.
Okay.
And then, of course, he became an apostle and then president of the church. And yeah, so that's kind of roughly a little bit about him. He was the father of, I believe, 10 children, one of which was a boy. The rest were girls, which is kind of,
Wow.
and I believe it was the last one was a boy, if I remember correctly. And that's kind of like I have that in reverse. Every parent hopes to have one of each so that they can kind of experience what it's like. And I love my boys. I love being a boy mom, so no regrets. But I would never have gone to the extreme of having 10 children until I got
Oh,
my girl. But yeah, they
wow.
continued
That
until
is,
they got that
yeah,
boy.
that is amazing. Like you wonder how many tries that some family needs to go through to get. their desired genders, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I only speculate. Maybe they wanted 10 from a nice big Mormon family, just keep fucking. Maybe that's all it was. Jesus says just to keep fucking, fuck, fuck,
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah, all of it. So good.
Yeah, and he clearly took that message to heart because he
He
was
did.
definitely fucking.
He's the prophet of the Lord. So of
He has
course
to
he
set
would take it.
example.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mm.
yeah, but as I left Mormonism, there were certain things that aside from all the data, aside from all the research and like the pulling apart of the visions, the multiple account of Joseph Smith's vision, polygamy, the priesthood restoration, things we haven't talked about, things we have talked about. Another element of it was just understanding even how emotions work and how they get played in a lot of
Mm.
these situations. Like you think about salesmanship and how that's just a transfer of emotion, right?
Yeah.
To get you to buy, to get you to sell, to get you to commit to things. And so I started picking up one aspect of my deconstruction was noticing how so many faiths could give the same kind of testimonies that Mormons give. And so
Mm.
in the Mormon faith, one Sunday of month, the very first Sunday of the month, is called Fast and Testimony Meeting. The tradition there is that you usually fast for at least a two meal, 24-hour type period. And then it's like an open mic night, and you can get up on the stand and you can bear your testimony. I started realizing as I was searching the internet other religions were doing the same kind of thing and using the exact same language and describing the exact same feelings. And then I also started seeing and learning about how even music can elevate and manipulate emotion just
Oh yeah.
by presenting a video where the music becomes more harrowing as the orator is describing whatever event has happened.
Yeah.
It impacts you. It changes how you feel. It changes even how you start to think post whatever's happening.
Hmm.
So maybe it makes you more convinced as to what the person is describing. And you're like, yeah, where do I sign? I now believe in that too, or I can relate to that. That was so bonding and connective
Hmm.
of that person or of what they said or what moral they're trying to convey
Hmm.
to the listener. And so I started picking up on that and I started learning and educating all about how all of that works. I know that in the Mormon faith, especially now in the age of social media and these mini videos, it's not foreign to them to do the exact same thing.
Mm.
And around Easter time, I remember that President Nelson, the prophet of the church, he came out with this Easter message and he shared this story. And this story was very faith promoting and affirming, and it was very inspirational, and it was a beautiful story. And he was
Mm.
trying to convey a point. Let me just story time. You want
Story
me to tell you
time.
the story? Let's do
Yeah.
story time. All right.
Or even better,
Or
we can listen
yeah.
to it.
Ooh. All right. Around Easter time, this video came out, and now I'm going to present it so listeners can, don't worry, you won't be missing anything by missing the video, and viewers on YouTube will also be able to see the video, and then I want to talk about it.
So this is a video by President Nelson. This was 13 years ago, and the
Hmm.
video has 1.6 million views. So the channel is definitely very popular and far-reaching.
Yeah. It's
And
no small video.
right,
And yeah, the LDS Church. This is from the LDS Church.
okay.
And yes, the voice you're going to hear is Elder Nelson, is President Nelson's
And
voice.
the title is Men's Hearts Shall Fail Them. Okay,
Yeah.
let's check this out.
I was in a small airplane, and all of a sudden, the engine on the wing caught fire. It exploded, and burning oil was poured all over the right side of the airplane, and we started to dive toward the earth. We were spinning down to our death. Oh, this woman across the aisle, I just was so sorry for her. She was just absolutely uncontrollably hysterical. And I was calm. I was totally calm. Even though I knew I was going down to my death, I was ready to meet my Maker. We didn't crash. We didn't die. The spiral dive extinguished the flame. The pilot got control and started the other engine up, and we made an emergency landing out in the field. But I thought through that experience, if you've got a faith, you can handle difficulties, knowing that with an eternal perspective that all will be well. In Luke 21, the earth shall be in distress, nations with perplexity, the seas and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear. What we're seeing is a prediction that in these latter days, people will be afraid. Men's hearts are failing, and that includes women, because they forget their identity and their purpose. The heartaches will come. I've lived through the death of a wife and the death of a daughter. I've seen the troubles that divorce brings. Children or grandchildren go astray. Disability, illness, injuries. To the individual who is weak in the heart, fearful in the heart, be patient with yourself. Perfection comes not in this life, but in the next life. Don't demand things that are unreasonable, but demand of yourself improvement. As you let the Lord help you through that, He will make the difference. I'm so grateful for the gospel of Jesus Christ that allows me that kind of strength in these tumultuous times.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hasadiga Ibo.
So how did that make you feel, Evans? Are you feeling that, are you seeing and getting a confirmation that this man was saved in this harrowing event in history
Right.
to be
Yeah.
our prophet?
Yeah. I definitely felt that. I like the music. The music definitely
Yeah.
meant that the story was definitely true, and it definitely happened. Everything just sounds
It's
so
so
like it's so
beautiful.
beautiful. Like it's very
Yeah.
easy to get wrapped up in the
Mhm.
calmness of his
Yeah,
tone and how
absolutely.
calm he was, and
And he was in this horrific event, right?
Mhm.
And he was also calm on the
Yeah,
airplane. Everybody was losing their
everybody was
minds.
losing their minds.
Yeah, the engine burst open, it caught on fire, and yet he was at peace.
He was at
And
peace. Yeah.
it really confirms that as a prophet of God, that's exactly who we need in charge and leadership. And he was preserved and he was saved for our time, for our day to lead the multi-million member church that it is, the multi-billion church that it is.
Yeah,
And so, of
exactly.
course.
So
But
this was before.
this was earlier in his life. I mean, this was in the 1970s from when he's saying that this happened.
Well, no,
So
I'm
here's the
talking about
thing.
this video that was made.
Oh,
Um,
2011, I think you said 13 years ago,
so
something like that, 13, 14 years ago.
all right. So during his presidency, is this
Let's
during
see.
his
So he
presidency?
began in when he was 93. So no,
Oh, okay. So this was before that.
this would have been before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is when he was one of the higher. He was
Ah,
pretty much,
an
if there
apostle.
were 12, yeah, he was definitely an apostle.
Yeah.
and he was getting up there on the chain of command. He was
Yes.
probably next in line at
Okay.
that time.
I do feel the
Yeah.
approach that he comes with, the appeal of him being like the right person for
Yeah.
the right choice for the
Even
position.
just to
And
be an apostle in this
right,
leadership
right.
capacity,
Mm-hmm,
he was saved and preserved for this. And
mm-hmm.
so we get the confirmation that as soon as he becomes the next prophet, or just knowing him as an apostle, he is the next in line for this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's why
So
the plane was saved because he was chosen.
that's how, yeah, he was chosen and all the
Mm,
things. Here's the thing. We live in the modern age, right?
mm-hmm,
We can do a little digging, right?
mm-hmm,
There are plane reports, like
mm,
highly documented
mm.
incident reports. This is a
Okay.
big deal, right,
Right.
Evans?
This is an almost crash to their death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
But then
mean,
and then there was an emergency
mhm,
stop as well. So obviously all of this
exactly.
would be documented. Yeah.
That's right. So here's what really happened.
What really
Okay.
happened?
This is the flight statistic. This is the flight report. Second incident occurred on November 11th, 1976,
Mm-hmm,
involving Piper PA-31 N74985. Pilot
mm-hmm,
experienced rough engine on scheduled flight between Salt Lake City and St. George. 3 passengers were on board. Engine was feathered and precautionary landing made at Delta, Utah per instructions company manual.
mm-hmm.
Investigation revealed cylinder base studs sheared. As a result of a current, excuse me, as a result of a current SkyWest changed maintenance procedures by checking Torx studs at each 100-hour inspection. No damage to aircraft, no injuries to crew or passengers. Civil Aeronautics Board reports, volume 73 by the United States.
Okay.
There was no oil. There was no explosion. There was none of the things that he described happen.
You mean to tell me the oil that was set on fire, that was rolling, that
Yeah.
would definitely
Yep.
probably catch someone's
Hmm.
legs on fire and would burn
That's
and
right.
destroy their leg? That didn't happen?
Nope. And it was just a precautionary landing.
Oh,
So
a
it wasn't an emergency.
precautionary landing.
Precautionary
So it
landing.
wasn't like a turbulence where we are falling to our
No.
death. It was more like dun,
No.
dun, we're gonna stop for a bit. And then
And no damage to the aircraft. None.
yeah, because it was precautionary landing. It
Hmm.
wasn't, it was the landing before the damage would be done.
That's right.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is probably a story, something that happened,
Hmm.
but has been a little bit exaggerated.
Embellished, yeah.
Oh no, Elder Cunningham. Oh, wow.
So yeah, so this miraculous, free fall, extinguished by fire in the nick of time, the pilot was able to start the left engine, regain control of the plane, and guide it to emergency landing in the farmer's field, not
I'm playing the music in the back.
far
In
from
the background.
Delta. I know. None of that happened. None of that happened. Talk more
No
about this.
way.
Unless you have something more that you want to say right now, I have
Hmm.
another video I would like to introduce our viewers to.
Okay.
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 And so let's go to that. Again, listeners should be able to listen just fine without the visual, but obviously our YouTube watchers can access both.
The music, right? You pay attention to the music and how it's arranged. These are things that creators are aware about. And just as Ali said before, there are certain types of music that are created specifically to generate some form of emotional response from you that would also put you in some form of mental state that will make you more susceptible to anything that whoever is behind the video is talking about. I did this when I was a Christian, when I was in churches. I was a praise team leader. I was a singer in the church, and we did this all the time. We prepared specific songs for different types of services.
When Wendy and I were on an assignment in a distant land, armed robbers put a gun to my head
Did they?
and pulled the trigger,
What? What?
but the gun didn't fire.
Oh.
Throughout that experience, both of our lives were threatened. Yet Wendy and I felt an undeniable peace. It was the peace which passeth all understanding. Brothers and sisters, the Lord will comfort you too. He will strengthen you He will bless you with peace, even amidst chaos.
So this is just an excerpt from a full-blown talk, and like I've shared with you in the past, the leaders of the LDS faith get together twice a year for the general membership to listen to them orate and give their talks that are
Mm.
supposed to be inspirational and at least give you guidance for your life. And
Ah,
this is just an excerpt from
okay.
one of his talks.
Just like the testimonies that you would give in your meeting.
Yeah.
This is his.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a little bit more polished than anything I could come up with, but
That is.
he does have like a staff of writers, probably, or at least people, secretaries that help him get polished and refined and whatnot. But the point is that this was his retelling of an event that
Hmm.
a very significant event. Obviously, he
Yeah.
had a
A
gun that didn't.
life-threatening
Yeah,
event. Again, that
exactly,
possibly
put
misfired.
to his head. Yeah, and
Yeah,
everything. I mean, that is so scary.
it is.
And again, the prophet, this at this time, he's the prophet.
Hmm.
He was saved and he was preserved and his life was kept safe from harm. So the point is that we have another story here that has also been told multiple times. Both of these stories. This is not the first time that he shared these stories. He has shared them over the years multiple
Mm.
times, and we know this. Again, this was the official news report. This is May 2009. Russell and Wendy Nelson, so his second wife now, they were visiting the mission president in Mozambique when they were the victims of an armed robbery while eating dinner. On Friday evening, they were having dinner together in the mission president's home when armed assailants entered the home and robbed them. We don't have complete information yet, but we understand that Sister Packard's arm, this is the mission president's wife, was broken. In addition, she and others suffered some superficial injuries, mainly cuts and bruises. Elder and Sister Nelson will continue their assignment over the weekend as planned. Okay, so
Mm.
from this initial statement, it is clear that the robbery did occur and that poor Cindy Packard suffered a broken
Yeah.
arm
Hmm.
during the attack.
Hmm.
Okay. In this same article, it says former missionaries to Mozambique who we talked with Saturday tell us that they were warned to always be cautious and told about the dangers of life in the African nation.
Oh.
Austin Hill served a Latter-day Saint mission in Mozambique in 2002 and 2003. He said the people are very friendly. The
Mm.
mission home before the current one got broken into, excuse me, the mission home before the current one got broken into and the church employed guards were there all day. One of the three guards they employed had orchestrated the whole thing, Hill said. When you hear of something happening in the neighborhood, as you are there, it is usually with a machete.
Mm.
Okay. And so this was also reported in the news. Okay. So again, now I'm going to read to you a statement from the mission president.
Okay.
Okay. This is what they said. The mission president and his wife described it as this: four armed gunmen overpowered our one guard. We were threatened verbally and physically. Cindy was roughed up, but finally did get away to warn other guards and neighbors who came to our assistance. She suffered a fracture in her left elbow. Other bruises had skinned other bruises and skinned knees. Elder Nelson was accosted as well, but is fine with minimal injury.
Mm.
Okay. In addition, they said Elder and Sister Nelson were not specifically targeted or that this was any act against the church. Okay.
This is the president's statement.
Yes. This is not Elder Nelson's
This is no
statement.
Elder Nelson
This
statement.
is the president of the mission
Oh, right.
of Mozambique.
Right. Okay, so the president of the mission of Mozambique says, yep, it happened, it was bad, but President
Mhm.
Nelson and his wife were not directly targeted. President Nelson gives a
Correct.
testimony, says, I was targeted, they pointed a gun to my head, and then it
Yep.
misfired. And
Yep.
then the general report says, hey, it was bad, someone fractured her arm, sorry,
Yes.
really sorry about her. The general report doesn't actually mention President Nelson and his wife. So General
Correct.
report doesn't mention President Nelson and his
Yeah.
wife. The president of mission doesn't mention that President Nelson was attacked or his wife was attacked in any way.
Hmm.
But President Nelson says they were. So
Yeah.
we have
And
three
then
accounts.
also we have people at the time saying that typically when these kinds of things happened, if they even happen at all, there's no guns. It's usually carrying of a machete or something like that.
What we're doing is just holding someone to a high standard who is accredited to be the prophet of a multi-billion-dollar organization. Okay, so we're sorry if we sound nitpicky, but we have to be. Okay, so
Hmm.
there are two stories now: the turbulence that was leading to a possible death, and another story where there was a gun definitely pointed to his head that was misfired. And
Hmm.
we have three or two other stories, none of which mentions that he was directly attacked, and one explicitly mentions that they were not directly attacked. Okay.
Yes. Or targeted.
Or targeted in
Okay.
any way. Okay.
Now, a little bit of time goes on, and the wife of President Nelson is giving a talk at a women's conference, and she states that in her retelling, she states that the four armed robbers had one intention:
Oh.
to harm my husband and
Oh.
to take me hostage.
Oh.
Yeah, those men,
Yeah,
they wanted Wendy.
how did they, yeah,
So.
but how did they know that they were
I know.
important?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, she further states that the four armed men didn't barge into the home, but casually entered, almost unnoticed, exactly like the adversary does. She's trying to teach a
Yeah,
point now with this
she's trying
story.
to teach a moral lesson with it
Yeah.
unnoticed. But then they had to overpower the bodyguards. So that would have been
Right.
noticed.
Right. But then she elevates it even more and says, just before that man walked in, an intense, beautiful peace came upon me.
She's got spidey senses tingling. I notice a pattern here though, and I don't know if that's one of the points that you're going to touch on. But the
It's
pattern,
possible.
yeah, the pattern is the goal of the story is to hit on the fact that they felt peace
Mm.
during a chaotic moment. That seems to be the message, is that, oh look, I felt calm when someone pointed a gun to my head. So that's what it means when God is with you. He's
Mhm.
going to send you the peace beyond all understanding. I have to question and I have to ask, how about all the calm that the children feel when they are being abused by their fathers, all the
Mhm.
calm, the calm,
Mhm.
God is watching the scenario play out and it's like, what the child needs right now? Some calm.
Yeah,
Shut
I
up.
really
And
wanted that calm
yeah,
myself.
when you were being
Yeah.
unfortunately mistreated and being abused by your family, what you really
Yeah.
needed at that moment was some calm. That's what you need. When the gun is being pointed to your head, what an all-powerful, omnipotent, omnipresent God can do really is send you
That would be
calm
nice.
feelings. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Why
Warm
not?
fuzzies.
Warm fuzzies.
Warm
Why
fuzzies.
not grant you a blanket as well, so to keep you warm as well? Now you have peace and warmth.
5 years after the event, at another public event, Nelson shares this. On one occasion, we were attacked by armed men with malicious intent. They announced their purpose to kidnap her and to kill me. Remember, they were not targeted.
Five
These are the
years.
statements. 5 years later, this is how the story has changed, okay? After they maliciously molested us in those evil objectives, they
Wait.
be they became totally foiled. A gun to my head failed to fire, and my wife was suddenly released from their hideous grasp. Then they disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. We were mercifully rescued from potential disaster. We know we were protected by angels around us. Okay? Again, the first official report by the mission president says Elder and Sister Nelson were not specifically targeted. And in all of this faith promoting crap, we actually have Cindy Packard, who got her arm fractured, for goodness sakes. She's
Yes.
the hero of the fucking story.
Yes, that's the one consistent thing. That's like someone got their arm fractured, Cindy, and I hope she's
Go,
doing okay.
Cindy. Yeah,
Shout out to
she's the
Cindy.
one that got through, went to the guards, got help, and she's the hero.
And they are really making this about something that
Them.
hypothetically happened to them.
Yeah.
and
that
ignoring the
didn't.
actual thing that actually happened.
They're the victims of the story. And then the little excerpt that you just played is even more recent of his retelling, which again, we have the news reports and, people come for me, fact check me, but this is what is the truth as far as when it happened and how the story was told. This is no longer Joseph Smith's era where 12 years can go by and you can recount a story and then there are changes and whatever. This is happening in real time. People are jotting it down as it's happening and are getting multiple sides of the story and creating a clear picture. And we see that again, as time goes on, the story gets embellished, the story gets manipulated to serve a purpose. To again confirm to the general membership that this is a man of God.
Yes, that's pretty much what it is, right? Is to align him with the stories in the Bible of the times where God protected his own prophets, his own people,
Exactly.
and to say, oh, see, this is the very same thing that's also happening to the prophet. But why though? Why do we need this? Why do we need this constant reinforcement?
Because he isn't an immortal man. He's a mortal man and he needs validation and he
Mm,
needs to feel secure.
mm,
And unfortunately, we have to make these claims to make sure that people know the weight of who we are and
mm,
what we stand by.
yeah.
And don't mess with me, motherfucker. Like, I am God's anointed, I wear his
Yeah.
mantle. If you ever so doubt it, here is proof.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that it falls apart like a
Mm,
pastry, and it's just completely not okay. And the
yeah.
reasons why it's not okay is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, why is it not okay for the prophet of the Lord to embellish? I completely understand that people will say, well, stories change over time. Nobody's perfect. He's an old man. You know how old people are. They like to tell the stories. This is not a rocking porch story. This is
No.
not grandpa
No.
on the front
This is a
porch.
statement. This is a mission statement. This is a self bolstering, self aggrandizing statement to put
When
themselves in that
you
position. Yeah.
when you stop and think how much $1 million is,
Mm-hmm.
how much $1 billion is, how much they ask of the membership, this will be criticized. This will be
Oh, yeah.
scrutinized. If he is the prophet of the Lord, all of these stories should hold truth.
Mm,
He has a team of people that are fact checking him, making sure that what he presents to people is true.
mm,
At least they should be.
yeah.
And if they are not, then they are lying. And I know that this phrase gets used a lot, the lying for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in an organization that lies for the Lord. And on a greater level with this, if this is an organization that claims this kind of power as being the one and only true church on the face of the earth, and that I am not going to get to heaven unless I'm a part of this whole thing and I do what they tell me to do and I pay the 10% and I do the worthiness interviews and whatever, and I sustain these men as prophets, seers, and revelators. And then their stories aren't true, Evans. I'm sorry, but I am not okay with that. And I don't want people to continue to have to live this short life doing these things
Mm,
when their prophets are liars. At best, embellishers, if you want
mm.
me to soften it. But it matters. It
Yeah.
holds weight. And just like the concept of like, well, but it's a good organization. They do some good
Mm-hmm.
and they help a lot of people. And look at me. And I agree to some extent. I am the mama that I am because of much of what I've learned in the church. I know that it helped shape me as even a woman, and there are some things that I will take with me. But heavens, There is so much harm, so much documented harm.
Mm,
And until there is no harm, I will not leave it alone.
mhm,
And I think it's my responsibility as a fellow traveler on this planet to call harm out when I can, just for the fact that I'm privileged to
mm,
do so. There are so many people that aren't. There are young kids taking their lives. There are people of
mm,
color that for so long felt like they were the curse of Cain. Like, I'm just not here for that anymore.
mm,
And I'm not going to say that because they do some good, that I can just look the other way to all the bad. I'm not here for that. And if he really is the prophet of the Lord, no embellishment is needed.
no.
Okay? He doesn't need to manipulate my heartstrings
Mm,
to get me to believe in whatever he is selling me.
yeah.
It's either true or it isn't. I'm
Mm,
sorry, Evans, but I spent so much of my parenting making sure that my boys learn and and know what honesty is.
mm,
I want my boys to go out into the world and be good and honest men. If the leadership of this organization can't withstand scrutiny by me, then I am sorry. If I prove to the world that they are dishonest, well, why are we pledging allegiance to them in these
mhm.
worthiness interviews?
Right.
And I don't think that they are examples that my boys need to look up to. Go ahead.
And you know, this is even more powerful because now I have to deep in the information that you have provided over the course of this podcast and the worthiness interview and all
Mm.
of this tests that you have to go through to renew your worthiness for the temple to gain access, and also just everything that is in the works, in the rituals, and how significant and high regard you're supposed to hold the prophet and his apostles in there, which is included in the tenets of Mormonism. To be a good Mormon is to listen to, or at least relinquish your will to these people, right? I definitely understand the emotion behind what you're saying. Is this is a cry from someone who has taken them seriously, and only to find out that
Yes.
they are telling stories, and the stories
Hmm.
are a bunch of half truths and gets exaggerated every single time that they keep telling it, and they are
Yeah.
just bullshitting people over and over again, from the plain story to the attack in Africa, and also
Yeah.
doing the whole Uganda thing again, where it's like, well, Africa is a place of darkness and so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
so horrible. And they just came to me and they had one goal in mind: to destroy him and to take me for themselves. Oh, wow. Like, it is so fantastical. All of that to say, look, see, we are special. Don't, like you said, don't mess with us. Like, when you hear this story as an unsuspecting Mormon member, all that does is it keeps manipulating you in a scenario where they don't need to keep doing that anymore. They've already sold the story. They've already voted you in. If they vote people in, if they've already voted you in as the president. You won the game, bro. Why do they need to keep manipulating and pulling on
Yeah.
people's heartstrings? Like you said,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
dangerous play. This is
Hmm.
continuous manipulation to keep feeding people the Kool-Aid. And this is why people have no problem saying that this is culty behavior. This is a cult, because of the need to keep reinforcing the story that would
Yeah.
be believed if it happened. Clearly,
Yeah.
that's not what happened.
No, it's not. Mormonism prophets are always presented as being the ultimate source of truth, right?
Mm.
Even more reliable than like science or personal reasoning and so on. So when
Wow.
they embellish or they distort facts in these stories, it undermines their credibility
Hmm.
and the eternal claims that they are asking the members to stake their lives, families, and even their eternity on.
Yeah, it's like,
That demands honesty at the highest level.
yes.
And clearly, it puts into question, again, just like Joseph Smith, if he's lying about these little tiny stories, what else are you lying
What
about?
else are you lying about?
And why should I believe you?
Hmm.
And why should I stake everything
Yeah.
into this?
And testimonies are like church practices like giving testimonies are usually given under the paradigm of you don't really need to ask questions or scrutinize these testimonies that are given. Like you just take people at their word and just say, you know, thank God for your life. I'm really grateful. Thank you very much. That was a really powerful message. It renewed my faith in Jesus Christ. And now I'm going to pay double than I was paying before, because that's always the goal, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at just the plane crash story, he presents it like literal history, right? Not like a
There we go.
parable.
There we
It's
go.
like literal. Did it come back?
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
saw?
that's that's
Okay,
where that's what I was
I'll
getting
finish
to.
this real
Go for it.
fast. Oh, was this what you were getting to? Okay, so it's presented as literal history, not a parable. And
Yes.
then what happens? He makes this routine incident sound miraculous, where he manufactures
Mm,
divine
mm,
intervention
mm,
where none
mm,
occurred.
mm, mm.
That's a manipulation of emotion and faith.
Yes. Yes.
That's not
This
harmless,
That is
Evans.
not
That's not
harmless. That
harmless.
is manipulation. That's all it is.
Mhm.
It's manipulation, and also self-aggrandizement, because it's the chosen narrative is
Yeah.
I'm chosen. And that's why
Hmm.
they need to come up with a story to say the perpetrators came in like the thief in the night, like the enemy, and they had only one intent in mind: to harm me and my husband, because we are the good people. And if you are with
Hmm.
the Mormon Jesus will protect you by sending peace vibes. And
That's right.
it's like that's pretty much what the message is
Yeah.
you better respect us because we are chosen by God, and God will protect
Yeah.
us if anyone decides to do us harm. And if as long as you listen to us and you trust our words, that's what's going to happen to you. God is going to
That's
protect you
right.
too. He's not going to protect you from harm. He's just going to give you vibes whilst the harm is happening to you. Part of me question whether it's something that they are really expected to do by the very people that
Mm.
they serve, because
Mm.
it's almost like that's the culture. Is if you are a president, we do expect miraculous stories from your life because we do believe that you are that close to God. So miraculous stories would be something that we would want to hear every day
Right.
from you. So it's almost as
Right.
though they are forced to push these narratives because it's almost like it's an expectation. For example, if a Catholic met the Pope one day and
Hmm.
the Catholic asked the Pope, "Oh, tell me one time that you felt God's presence." That's pressure from the Pope, because if you're a Pope that never really experienced that, what would you say to that devout Catholic that you never really experienced any divine intervention, any divine encounter with God? Why? How the hell are you the Pope? You are the next person to God. You should be talking to God like every day. Every day should be like a miracle to you. So you wonder how much of that pressure is also coming from the members. So it's kind of like this
Mm.
symbiotic relationship where it's like we need to demonstrate that we are special, and
Yeah.
also we need to demonstrate that we are special to these people so that they believe that we are in fact special. So it's kind of like this weird relationship going on there. That's what I
I
think anyway.
that and I respect your opinion. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna put this on the people. I'm not. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I say bullshit when it's bullshit. I think this is all very tactical. I think this is institutionalized. I think this is
Mm-hmm.
very systemic
Mm-hmm.
to get you to kowtow
Mm-hmm.
and to do as you're told. And I
Mm-hmm.
honestly think that I have more confidence in the lay membership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They don't need to be manipulated. They don't need to. This story ultimately doesn't change anything for me. It was a great story to listen to. And yeah, it confirmed that, he's a prophet of God and it's inspiring and I
Mm-hmm.
believe it. But at the end of the day, if it had been a true story,
Mm-hmm.
if it had been even a simple story about like holding his daughter's hand as they went on a walk and he felt a peace,
Mm-hmm.
it could have been true.
Yeah.
And I still would have felt the same
Mm.
point that he was trying to get across.
Yeah.
I don't need these heroic stories
Yeah.
that are then proven false. And
Mm.
what he's doing is that he's setting also a precedent for gaslighting.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
want to talk more about that in a future podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, it's saying that whatever he says, no matter how contradictory, it can be
It can
related
be
to serve
apologized
whatever.
away. It can be
Yeah.
apologized away, because when you say like I'm sure anyone that watches this that obviously is not liking what we're saying, we'll say the exact same thing. It's like, well, they didn't have to say specifically that they attacked them directly. They just said that some gunmen barged into the room and attacked the people when Cindy's arm happened to be broken. But they didn't say that they didn't attack them, so they must have attacked them, because obviously, why would he lie? What would he possibly want to gain to lie to people about it? Excuse me, I know what he has to gain. To lie to people. I know exactly what he has to gain. Like, what are you talking about? We are not kids over here. People lie for reasons all the time, and we are not supposed to figure out what the reasons why they lie for. I don't care what reasons why you lie. I care whether you lied, and he lied. He lied about the story. His wife lied about the story. They are both charlatans. Like this.
Yes,
This is ridiculous.
exactly. So some of the reasons why this causes real life harm is that if these faith promoting lies inspire members to possibly obey very harmful doctrines. And again, teaser, we're going to talk about one of them in the next podcast. But the plane crash story, it's small, but it reinforces the idea that you trust the prophet, God is with him, miracles prove it.
Yes.
It also erodes accountability. All of this, a prophet that embellishes, demonstrates that image is more important than truth. And I am sick of that. I am so exhausted with these men and their facade.
Totally following it in the footsteps of Joseph Smith. This is not a surprise. This is
Exactly.
expected. And it makes you wonder how many prophets after that has done that, and how many prophets will keep doing it. Will keep doing that
Yes.
after this, because it's almost expected. Not even if it's not on the
Yes.
people, it's
Yeah,
by the organization. It's institutionalized. It is, you have
it
to come up
is.
with these
The
fantastical stories.
leadership,
Yes.
they reshaped the history for a good story. Joseph set the precedent. He started it, and there you go.
There is something that always triggers me about these type of testimonies. I'm going back to the plane, and even
Yeah.
hell, yeah, even this story, even if it were true, right? And that is, the plane is about to crash. Everyone is struggling, but me, I had peace. So that's nice. If only you believe as much as I do, you will, God will also grant you peace. And what the fuck is that ever good for? Like, what is that good for when you are having peace during turmoil? Maybe having peace during turmoil is the wrong human response. When you're standing there and atrocities are being committed right in front of you, feeling peace is a psychopathic feeling. What the fuck? When you're standing there and horrific things are happening behind you, and then they show the screen, they show it on the screen, they show it, if you're listening, they show disasters, they show people's houses being burnt down and being broken and being destroyed, and they are talking about feeling peace. Fuck you. Like, what kind of first world privileged position is that? Like, oh, God send me peace and calm. And now you've set the precedent for, again, gaslighting, where if they don't feel peace, that means they're not doing Christianity right. And if they're not doing Christianity right, that means they're not worthy. And now they have to fail the worthiness interview. And now they have to do it all over again. Fuck you. And fuck your religion. And fuck your cult too.
I get it.
Pisses
I
me
get
off.
it. The harm is not just in the lie, it's in the way that these talks and the music and everything, it conditions the members to accept the manipulation,
Yeah.
the contradiction, and the gaslighting as faith. And anything like that is harmful and wrong. And I'd like to conclude, I'd like to pick your brain. I mean, it could honestly, knowing you, you can say it in just a sentence, but like, why is it harmful? Why not, excuse me, not why is it harmful, but how do we reconcile when people say that, well, but they're an institution that does do some good. So therefore, because I've seen the good and because I've even profited off the good or am shaped by the good or whatever, I don't see the need to leave, to do what you guys are doing. I don't see why we need to pick it apart as long as they are doing good. What are your thoughts, Evans?
Well, I would say that's a very solipsistic view. It's a very selfish view. To say that sucks to be them, because that's pretty much what you're saying. is because I didn't experience harm and I experienced good from it. Anyone else that experienced harm, well, sucks to be them.
Mm,
I don't care about the
right.
harm that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm experiencing good. Look at me. My life is okay. And I'm glad that I had Mormon upbringing. And I'm glad that because of Mormonism, I can have my white picket fence and my family and my dog and my job and be a, at home mom and all of these things. I'm glad that I'm a
Sure.
Mormon. Well, what are you talking
Yeah.
about the harm? You shouldn't talk about the harm because I feel good about myself. Well, yeah, congratulations. You're selfish.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for voicing that opinion. Another thing that I would probably say was, and I've told you this before, and that is if I'm a rich man, if I'm a billionaire, like someone who is a Mormon, and I build 1,000 orphanages, but
Yeah.
every year, I sexually abuse one child. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. I'm not even adding to the statistics that's going on, that wild statistics in the world right now. Just one child.
Yeah.
I built 1,000 orphanages, but every year I only abuse one child. Would my building of the orphanages excuse my abuse of the child?
Hmm.
Would that make it all of a sudden, you know what, we can excuse it? Maybe in your head it might. You're a psychopath.
Yeah. For me, it's so hard because like I lived in it, so I can understand and appreciate that perspective. Life is just too short to pretend like my experience is the only experience. I must understand if I really want to live
Mm,
a deep and beautiful life. I must understand the perspectives of others. And if somebody were to bring my attention to, Uncle so and so did this to me, although I love Uncle so and so and I never had that experience, I've got to find the truth. And that's what I did. And that's what I continue to do is find the truth and expose the harm because I can't sit by and continue watching this cycle continue and continue. And I pulled my boys out of it because I felt that I wanted them to be better men than this. If I had had daughters, I would have wanted to extend to them this form of advocacy. I wouldn't want them to stay within an organization that oppresses women as this one does. And although it does extend good moral views, I would argue that there are many other
mm,
organizations out there that aren't claiming to speak for God and are manipulating you with lies and half truths and embellishments
stories, yeah.
to get you to buy in to them. And so for those things, I do recognize that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has done a lot of good. But just like in your analogy, I also know of the sexually abused children. And in the Mormon faith, that isn't even just me playing off of that. That's actual thing that also has happened. Those are also the horrors that are behind, this veiled church. And until all of that comes to light and they're exposed for really being, like you said, the charlatans that they are, I can't. I
Mm.
can't just accept the good and look not at the bad.
Again, someone might come in and say, oh, okay, well, he only lied about the story. What's the harm? He didn't do anything like horrible. We don't know. I don't know whether that happened. But at the same time, you don't get to go around calling yourself a prophet of God, the prophet, and then expect me to give you normal human courtesy when it comes to lying.
Yeah,
No, you're not asking me to hold you in normal human terms, in terms
correct.
of how I interact with you. No, you want me to see you as this chosen special person. That's why you have to come up with these stories in order to plant that importance in my head. So when I find out that your lies are your stories are sounds just like a lie, I have to question the whole facade.
That's
And
right.
and if that makes you uncomfortable, I didn't ask you to lie, you know?
I would argue it's our duty. I think
Yeah.
we must question and we must get to the bottom of these things. We can't let more people, not on my watch. And I get it. Like we've said, we thought we would just reach one person, then 20, then 100. We have no idea where this is going to go. But our goal is not to stand by any of these things and to even ask you to challenge these stories that have been told and challenge these people that take your money and really learn for yourself. Is this really, can I get to a point where I can no longer look away at the
Mm-hmm.
harm and I too need to say something, if not for myself, but for the next generation, for, the little girls that can't speak up for themselves or
Mm-hmm.
or the young men that deserve better role models
Mm-hmm.
and better people in society that they can look up to.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you bringing your thoughts to this. And I hope that in these examples, we can really see how it really does matter when the prophet of the Lord embellishes and why, and all that we have discussed today in this episode.
Yeah, and as you're thinking about what we talked about, um, you just think about this question too. If the truth is on your side, why lie?
Yeah,
If you are so confident about the truth being on your side,
so
why do you
simple.
need to lie? The truth just bear out itself. Just
Yeah,
say what happened. If the miracle didn't happen and something normal happened, just say something normal happened. Why
yeah,
lie?
yeah,
Let God do the thing that He is going to do without you. Like
yeah,
God doesn't need your help. Don't you find it strange, Christians? Anyway, thank you very
yeah.
much, Ali, for bringing this
You're
to us.
welcome.
This was very very important to highlight, and I can't wait for the next podcast, which we'll do very soon.
Yeah,
Obviously, it will be released the week after this one is released.
yeah.
But if you're going to hold someone in high regard, just keep that standard. Don't
Mm,
don't don't betray that standard when it comes to things that actually affect you. Don't betray that standard. If they are asking you to hold them in high regard, you hold them in high standard. And if that standard is failing them, it's not your standard that's broken. Maybe they are.
yeah. Beautifully said, Evans. Thank you. All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. Come back next time and we're going to have more to talk about. So,
I agree.
yeah.
Stay tuned, guys.
Hasatika ibawai.